Just me, a place to be me, where you get to experience life. 'Cause life is a journey, not a guided tour. If you want the rainbow, you have to go through the rain.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to the final episode of our series, The Care Within. I'm Tracey.
I'm Sasha.
And I'm Shirena, and today we're going to talk about something that changes the game in caregiving, relationships, and mental health, and that is boundaries.
So first, let's clear this up. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about protecting yourself and your energy.
Yes, there are acts out of love for you, the person that's setting the boundaries, and the people around you. When you're stretched too thin, everyone suffers and they will get my attitude. So boundaries are so important.
And boundaries are not just about saying no. They also say, I need. They also say, I can't today. Or they also say, that doesn't work for me.
And to be honest with you, I think that boundaries is a good term that we've kind of coined as a society, but also it can also resemble just assertive communication. Sometimes as small as not answering the phone about after 8 p.m. or telling the person, I don't have space and capacity for that. If they're asking you to do something. So setting limits and boundaries within your own life to conserve your energy. Um, so if someone's asking you to do something, and if you recognize that that's going to take you out of your comfort zone and make you late for something else, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, I can't do it. And then another example of a limit is if you know that you need a certain amount of time to unwind and after work or after putting the kids to sleep or different things of that nature, don't answer your phone after a certain time. Put limits in your own life and respect those limits.
Sasha, that sounds very easy, right? Right? It
It
sounds,
does.
but it's hard for people to set boundaries. A lot of people have a hard time as it relates to setting boundaries with themselves and with other people. Now, let's think about it. Why do people have a hard time setting boundaries? We get this question all the time in our profession. And a lot of times people have a hard time setting boundaries. It's because they feel guilty.
Mhm.
They're really not thinking about themselves. They're thinking about other people and how they made other people feel. And oh my God, they're not going to like me anymore. And if you have multiple roles, like being a caregiver, a parent, a best friend, and a helper, sometimes saying no just feels wrong because that doesn't go with your role as being a helper by saying no. But a lot of times it's people feeling guilty.
Yeah, and guilt is often a sign of rewiring, like you're breaking old patterns of over functioning.
And let's be honest, we've been taught that being good means always being available, even though we're exhausted. So we're trying to be the savior or we're trying to be the helper, and putting boundaries for other people means that we're not going to be readily available and accessible. But
But
it can
one thing,
also create exhaustion. Sorry.
I'm sorry, also exhaustion, correct. But we got to remember that our worth isn't measured by exhaustions. So let's just let that land. Like once again, your worth isn't measured by your exhaustions. Exhaustion. That don't even line up.
And as much as we talk about it, that's still a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. So let's give them some boundary setting scripts that they might can use for the people that are struggling.
That's a good idea.
Okay. Okay. So here's one that I love. I wish I could help with that, but I don't have the bandwidth right now. I'm going to repeat it. So if someone asks you to do something, I really wish I could help with that. Your response is, I really wish I could help with that, but unfortunately, I don't have the bandwidth right now. And for the generation that knows what bandwidth is, if you know, you know. If you don't know what bandwidth is, then you don't have to use this script. You can use something else. What's something else they can use, guys?
Or another one is, you know what? I'm taking time for myself this weekend. I, if you recognize that I'm taking ownership for my own feelings and what I desire. And so, what I want you to do is to really think about if we could revisit this next week. I'm taking time for myself this weekend. Therefore, I'm needing the time. And so, I'm giving you the option if we can revisit this next week.
Or you could be more direct and just say, no, I'm not available. That's a full sentence. No, I am not available. So you don't owe anyone an explanation. No, I'm not available is a full sentence.
Setting boundaries means enforcing them. So even though you've made that statement to people who have asked you to maybe expand your reach or do something that you just don't have time to do or you don't have the capacity to do, setting boundaries also means that you have to stick by them. So if someone keeps pushing, it's okay for you to hold strong to your boundaries and say no. I think sometimes parents have a challenge with this when they have children or they have teenagers. Teenager asks them, "Hey, can I go and hang out with my friends at the skating rink or air bounce trampoline park?" And you don't have time to run and pick them up from here, there, and everywhere because you have other things that you have to do. It's okay for you to say no, maybe next weekend. And if your child continues to ask you, that's okay. They're going to ask. And it's okay for you to continue to set that boundary and say no. That is okay. They're going to ask you a first time, a second time, and a third time. And is it okay? It's okay for you to give the answer a first time? No. A second time? No. A third time? No.
And what you express is that you're saying that the mom may be drained or overwhelmed, and she's saying no, she doesn't want to do that. And what she's doing is, you know what? She's being consistent with the word no, and also she's recognizing that I don't have the mental and physical to do that. So she's really protecting her peace. And so, with all that we have expressed thus far, this is what we want you all to practice this week. I want you to think about this. If you can just slow your thought process down, I want you to identify one area where you feel drained. What is the boundary you can try to put in place? Think about the area that you feel drained. It could be working, it could be giving advice, talking to a friend that's always asking you a lot of questions. It could be your road dog where they want to go to Charlotte or somewhere this weekend. If you know that those areas are making you feel drained, what is a boundary that you can try?
What if you have a boundary that's dealing with time? So maybe you need to log off social media early, like 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock. Maybe it's an emotional boundary that needs to be set, like you're not going to engage in any arguing this week.
Boundaries build freedom, guys. They help protect your energy for the things and the people that matter.
Now, we hope this series help you to once again reconnect to your body, your mind, and yourself. Mind, body, self. All of that works together. You deserve to be well. Once again, you deserve to be well.
Well, ladies, it's been a wonderful journey this month as we focus all on self-care. And we know that care begins within. So to our listening audience, till next month, next time, see you next week. Same time, same channel. Take care of yourself so we can take care of others.
Bye.
Have a super day.
Thank you so much for listening to Just Me Therapy podcast. If you are seeking further one-on-one diagnoses, interventions, and treatment plans, please consider scheduling an appointment with an individual counselor at Journeys Counseling Center, located in Greensboro, North Carolina. Journeys can be reached at 336-294-1349. The mission of Just Me Therapy podcast is to use authentic conversations to uplift one's mind, body, and soul. The goal of Just Me Therapy is to offer affordable education and insight to individuals who experience financial barriers to accessing individualized behavioral health care services. With that being said, the information, including opinions, advice, and recommendations discussed in this podcast, are intended for individual, informational, and educational purposes only. Such information is not intended to substitute the recommendations of your own licensed therapist or healthcare professional. Although we are licensed behavioral health professionals, we are not your licensed behavioral health professional. As a result, the advice mentioned on this podcast should not replace the recommendations offered by your own qualified health professional.